Hello, welcome. Tasha with Encompass Awe here. Welcome, welcome. We have a reading here, a love reading. Definitely love energy. Some other energies too, by the way. Heads up. Okay. We're going to call this reading the push and pull love. Love, push and pull. That is definitely the feeling here. And here, you would be the magician in a lover's dynamic. I really think that this, oddly, it feels like both of you feel very similar on this reading in this lover dynamic. It really feels like you both feel very similar. This feels like the energy from both of you connected with a higher, really the spirit of love that is trying to communicate with you, to help you communicate with each other. What we have here, so I'm just going to give you an overview. The Magician, one of our favorite cards in the deck, at least mine. The Magician, creation energy, mastery, the Lovers. Okay, sorry, let me cover the boobies. Bodies, the Lovers, right? The Seven of Swords, the Five of Swords. This is how I pulled them, guys. Just, they were in pairs, the way that it flew together. The Emperor, the Queen of Cups. Okay, and the Chariot and the Ten of Pentacles. So you see, this is your potential. This is how quick life is changing. You have a lot of energy in the ether, in your body, in the cosmos that is in support of you, making certain changes and even upholding you as you begin to speak for yourself, care for yourself, to be honest and transparent. Just for any of you just now coming in, this is a lover's dynamic that has a, not necessarily it, it's more like, I realized that you weren't transparent about these things. I realized you weren't transparent about these things. You kind of gave me a little bit of a perception of you in the beginning and for a long time that you were somebody else a little bit. So lies and deception, right? Like, just not completely honest about who they were coming forward. And maybe you weren't completely yourself yet either, but there's a conflict here that isn't promoting your relationship being healthy love, fully supported, profoundly precious, you know, and trust is really important. And I'm feeling a lot of distress here. And interestingly, I'm not feeling any cheating off of this reading. It's like both of you came from trauma of some sort, even in your parent, like your parents to you as you were children, and even in relationships. So there's fundamental and foundational things that have to be cared for delicately, especially in a relationship dynamic, because as you know, when you bring someone into your life, they're going to be like a walking trigger for you, especially if somebody that you're going to allow be close, right? But Spirit is saying that there's still a light in this relationship that is blazing, is rare, you know? People pray for this type of dynamic, but if this isn't resolved by communication reflection, hearing without severe, like hearing without judgment, because I'm seeing like scratches, like marks that are like, this happened, but this happened, and this happened. And you see that and you feel that, and it's in your body memory. And I'm seeing that when you start to trust, you remember that thing, or they show you again that they're not being. So excuse me about that phone call coming. I didn't know my phone. It is on silent. Why am I getting a phone call then? Oh my goodness. Whatever. But the universe and the ether and the love that you have for each other is literally still here and still very strong. Okay. And I think that there's a more of a willingness from each side than the other person realizes. And I think that there's a lot of unsaid words. No, I know that there's a lot of unsaid words. There's a lot of pains, right? Um, which makes you reclusive, which is okay to an extent, because there is a time for hermit and reflection. Hermit is not out here, but I know that I feel this hermit reflection energy off of this reading, that you are actually getting ready to come out of, and you might already be coming out of it actually, so that you can, one, heal and love yourself better, but also heal. You're the magician. You're taking action towards this love. Let me cover the boobies. YouTube prefers us to do. I might actually, like, I saw somebody doing a reading earlier today, and they had like a marker outfit on these people. Like, I might just color them some clothes in so I don't have to do this. I really don't like to cover the card. It's such a beautiful card. But sorry to get off subject a little bit, but there's a lot of material wealth also. When you and this person come together, when you actually come together closer, this is a relationship that already exists. But I feel a little bit of separation. Even if you live together, I feel a separation. Like you both put some walls up, like thick walls. Even though you're like, I love you, even though you're like, you're amazing and I see so much good in you, you also see the things that they didn't know you're seeing. And I feel like they know you're seeing, which makes them more reclusive too as well. Like, they know, but they don't know. They actually don't know how you're seeing, but you are. And they catch themselves sometimes being a certain sort of way that they promised that they would never be. And at least in their own words, not like promised, but like they just gave you the idea that they were somebody else in areas. But then you know that they, in their purest form, that you can see behind their eyes, behind their outfit, behind what they say, these titles that they are, I'm this, I'm that, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. You see behind all the layers and the titles a pure essence and such a beautiful soul. So you haven't really walked away yet, right? Spirit is saying put the swords down when you come into this conversation, as far as the offensive part. Like, do some breathing a little bit. Think, enjoy your own energy for a moment, get some peace and groundedness, and come at this with communication. Address the conflict and the dishonesties so that you can move better forward together. You gotta put the swords down, but you also need to communicate. You've got to communicate. You're deciding that it's worth it by being there already, like by calling them still, by answering the phone. So if you're already deciding to be there, you might as well communicate. And listen, a lot of you are being invited to break certain trauma memories and patterns. So say you're not communicating. Why aren't you communicating? Ask yourself, why am I not communicating? I'm not communicating because I'm scared of their response, or they won't care for me anymore, or they might push me away. That's why this reading is called the push and pull of love, because it's not that they're not coming back to you, but you might be afraid that they're not, or that they will retrieve some kind of positivity or healthy communication. But here's the thing, you're not communicating. So you're fearing things, and that's causing more walls in both of you, and they are too. Like, I'm literally getting, this is almost like a mirror. This whole spread is like a mirror of both of you almost feeling exactly the same, and sometimes at different times. Like, one of you feels hopeful and like, oh, we could have a miracle on this thing, at the other time that the other person is also experiencing that feeling too. But then other times you're like, oh no, I doubt it because this happened and this happened. Those marks that I'm talking about, like, I see like scratches, like they sting. They sting your trust for this love, right? But the guidance here is address the conflict by communicating and then coming up with a plan. Also, I'm not saying be harsh, but firmly come forward with your boundaries. So, what if some of your boundaries changed? So, what if some of their boundaries change? At least if you get it out into the open, right? You will both know whether this is doable or not. Now, this spread says that it is, but it's also free will, guys. This is the 10 of Pentacles. This is wish fulfillment. This is beautiful. The 10 of Pentacles, the Lovers. Oh, let me get the boobies again. 10 of Pentacles, the Lovers. That's beautiful. But here's the thing I know. If you're not honest, you will have contention in your relationship forever. And it's not going to work for anybody. You'll be there. How many people do you hear? This is what I hear on YouTube these days, on these shorts. Women are happier single in studies that have been done, and men are happier married. I don't blame either sex or gender for that. I don't blame either one for that. Like, I don't know people personally, but this is what I know. I was married 15 years. I see now some of the things that I contributed in. And I seen it the year I left. Just something you don't know until you lose it, right? Your part in it. And a lot of people will leave relationship dynamics and only decide to see the other person's part. The problem with that is, even if they were way wronger than you or whatever, I know that was a good word, right? Wronger than you, even if they were way worse than you, don't you still want to see your part? It's not about being analytical, it's about growth. It's about, I don't want this to be the next relationship dynamic. And you know what? Every relationship should teach us, if we're all working on growth and being real with ourselves, we should grow. And then if we end up in another relationship years later, that one should also cause growth, right? But it won't cause growth if we're only looking at the other person. Okay? There is an invitation to grow, to see some of your fault lines, your patterns, your trigger lines, and how you respond to it. Some of you aren't communicating just simply because you're afraid of how they will respond. Well, in this reading, they love you more than anything you can say. They just might not talk to you for an hour, or they might not be comfortable. They love you more than that, though. And you love them more than that. So really, it's sitting with, why is my throat chakra blocked? Like, why do I see two hands over your neck? Like, just blocking it from coming up and out. And you know what I think it is? Childhood trauma. I think it's the way you weren't taught to speak for yourself when it was a difficult thing. When it was, let's not even call it difficult. I think they made you feel like you were difficult. I want to say that it was something that wouldn't make people happy. So you became a certain type of person. There's a song by Cat Burns called People Pleaser. And I'm not saying that that's what you are. There's just patterns that need broken on both sides. And you know, on the other side, I see this person like caring a lot about what people think. And I don't mean you only, but like egoic. And you know, That might be a little bit of a turnoff for someone like you. But there is things to learn from both sides. From both sides, from you and this person, for each other. And you know, it is a choice. It's an ultimate choice. Will I fight for this to be better by communicating? Not the energy of fighting, but like a decision to pursue. When you first find your lover, you woo them, you almost don't see any of their flaws. And even when you do, you're like, oh, that one's not a big deal. No big deal on that one. It's no big deal. And then some of them you might be like, oh, that's cute. Later in the relationship, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that. Right? This is worth fighting for, but it's up to you. It's up to you. Spirit says that there's a very good potential, but your foundation will be better if you communicate. Your foundation will illuminate more cracks. Communication will illuminate more cracks so that you can work on them together. And you know what? If you come forward to each other and you're like, this is my boundary, this is my line, I don't do that. I would prefer not like that. I mean, say it respectfully, of course. But you know what? Even when you fuck up when you're talking, like, don't be so hard on yourself. Nobody's perfect. Okay? They're not perfect to you either, the way they communicate, right? But at least if you put it out there and they're like, they mock you or they don't get it or they're not mature enough, at least you'll know. And you're not in it 10 years, 15 years marriage for me, okay? No regrets. I got babies, so whatever. That was the beautiful part of it, right? Is I got my children out of it and a bunch of lessons, like a lot of lessons. I'm still getting lessons from that 15-year marriage, and it's been since 2022, I think my divorce was final. Yeah. But listen, put the swords down. You really have a good potential. You know what? Let's pull some Dream Oracle cards, okay? That's what I feel led to do. Okay. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you so much. There is a lot of feminine energy in this reading, but I don't think it's like the girl or boy. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with needing more softness in this relationship. Needing more softness in this relationship. And choosing that. To come at each other softly and understand. Thank you, Spirit. What is the Oracle guidance? The Dream Oracle guidance here. This is the Dream Oracle deck. I know you can't really see very well, but the Dream Oracle deck. Thank you, Spirit. Ooh. Roots. Heal the roots so that the tree will stand. You see how dark these roots are? Do you know how much growing happens for any plant with the seeds in the ground? With most plants, as much growth underground is the same amount as above. As above, so below. This hurts what you're going through so you can grow. In the dark, we're growing. Heal the roots so that the tree is stable. Heal the roots so that this tree is stable. And you know, it's going to affect all your relationships around you to work on your iron roots. Thank you, Spirit. And you're healing roots from things from your childhood. What I keep saying. From your childhood. Okay? There's also some things of creativity that Spirit is saying you maybe recently started dabbling in again. Keep doing it. It really allows a creative side from your child self to come out, which is healing you, healing your roots, and allowing more sensual softness. When I say sensual, I'm not talking about sexuality, guys. I mean, it can include that, but it's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about using, like when you're rubbing someone's arm, you're just, it's okay, it's all right, it's nurturing, it's sensual, it's a place of softness. and love. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. We need more sensuality and softness, pink energy in this energy of this love. Okay, like surprise each other more, surprise yourself more. If this person doesn't surprise you very often, surprise yourself. Don't wait. The universe will bring you what you're saying you're worth by living it, by the way, not just saying it. Affirmations are great, but you know what's better than affirmations? Do it. Sorry about my attitude, guys. Exceptionality. If you treat yourself a certain way, the universe will bring it to you in other forms. This is the card of exceptionality. She, whatever, is pointing at it. Other people are talking. Like, honestly, it feels like naysayers. But you're like, I don't give a fuck. That's nothing to do with me, what's going on over there. You just focus on your game. Your game. And look, you're pointing and the reflection is coming back, pointing right back at you. And that's how your blessings are going to work. That is how your blessings are going to work. That is how divine order is going to work in your life. I'm so excited. And look, floating elation. Elation. You are elated. And the more that you do that energy for yourself, the more that spirit is joining with you. I'm really happy for you because what I'm feeling right now is like you have a lot of self-love, and that's really going to welcome. If you do self-love with self-respect, with softness, I'm hearing it's going to be very beneficial for this relationship. Life is not all about your relationships, by the way. It's funny because I every now and then fast. I don't really fast now. I might for 24 hours, but not very often because I'm nursing and I have a baby. Hi, Boo. Hi, Angel 101. But every time I went into a fast for a long time, I went in about my relationship. That first 15 year marriage I had, right, with my first two kids' dad. Well, every time I would go into the fasting and I would have the intent of getting an answer about my marriage, Spirit, when I would go to sit down, I would say, Spirit, I'm listening. Finally, after I would just get my brain to shut the frick up, Spirit would be like dropping a huge bomb, like a way bigger, like, I'm telling you, like worldwide concern, worldwide love, or universal love and expansion. The results of what I would get in from that fasting changed me from the inside out. Like I was focusing on this tiny little part of my life called a relationship. And it's a big part, I get it, because we're human and we're here and we're experiencing it. But listen, when I would get a word or whatever, a revelation from spirit, from my fasting, it was so much more expansive than the small thing that I was focusing on. It would change me from the inside out in a moment. Some of you might be led to fast, and you know what? If you do, please do. Okay, and make sure that if you do fast, do not fast on days that you're going to be really busy, because Spirit wants to speak to you and expand your mind and help you elate even more, elevate even more. It's an invitation for more of you, but more of Spirit and more alignment. And I ain't mad at that ever. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. I just love this reading. And because this love is worth it, but even if you choose not to do it, remember, it is 10 of Pentacles with the lovers out here. Okay? But if you choose not to do it, still loving yourself the right way, surprising yourself, doing stuff for your future self now. This is something I've started doing recently because I heard this guy say it on a reading last week. Well, not on a reading, but on a short. He said, I started doing stuff that would benefit my future self. Let me give you a couple of those examples. So he's like, in the spring, I will put $100 in my pocket, in a random pocket in my closet, in a jacket that I'll wear in the winter sometime. I'll put $100 in there. Now, you might not be in the position to do $100, but $10 or $5 or some love note to yourself or how proud you are, like anything. But he put that in his pocket so that his future self will randomly one day reach into his pocket and have $100 and be like, oh man, I'm going to go spend $100. So that he'll have that hit of dopamine, so that he will have the gratitude then. You know what else he does? He puts his coffee grounds in his coffee Keurig the night before so that he will have a day that runs smoothly the next day. Or he does his house cleaning the night before so the next day he feels that reward feeling of how good it feels. And it really has helped me a lot. Do more of this for yourself because you're the magician. If you prime, and I'm not saying to be a freak about it, like overdo, never rest if you're too tired. I've had to rest. I've been dreaming heavily lately and I need more rest. So I haven't gotten to do those dishes the night before every time. It is what it is. I don't have no dishwasher right now, you know? So, but you're the magician. So you are mastering your life not just by what you are saying you want, but by how you are holding your life. So this week I did some things at some events. No, I went to an event and Spirit said, you know that you just sowed a seed, right? And I don't mean tithe. I don't mean I went and planted stuff. I mean, Spirit was like, you just said, I'm interested in this and put it in the algorithm. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I came home and I did something else. And I think I was stressing about something. And Spirit's like, you're planting a seed. So what Spirit is pointing out to me is everything you do is a vote saying, this is what I want. This is what I'm interested in. This is what I'm holding frequency of. So if your frequency is holding stress and anxiety and worry, and I'm preaching to myself too, guys, okay? You are voting, emitting, resonating stress and anxiety to the universe saying, oh, this is what I'm used to. This is what I'm attracting. Okay, and I'm not saying like attracts like all the time. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is if you are used to trauma, you attract more of that. You emit it. And I believe that you are prophets over yourself. I believe that parents are our first prophets, okay? And I know that that's a Christian word, but it is what it is. I'm saying that they are speaking over you things, which is why I get really irritated with people. I used to get a lot more irritated with people that would speak certain things over my kids. I was like, hell no, get your mouth off my babies. Especially if you're the grandparents, especially if you're relatives, okay? Your bloodline should speak good of you and to you and at you. I'm not saying no discernment or like correction. Of course you need that. I'm saying like, you know, people are like, when you have kids, when you get older, you're going to find out. That's a curse. That kind of thing. Or like, wait until you find out how bad these type of people are. Or this, they're speaking something about that over you. And it's important. This is why we got a sage. This is why we got to freeze people's names in the freezer in a jar, because they are putting negative energy out towards you, okay? We govern ourselves and our lives more than we think. And speak good of yourself. I am well. If you want to be a writer, I am a writer. My first book is published already, okay? Speak of yourself that way. This love relationship that I'm in, it's healing so well. We're communicating so well. Start speaking that into the universe, not to somebody, just to yourself, to the every cell of your body and the earth, the ether. Go get grounded when you say these things. Speak to the moon, howl at the moon. I don't know. Just, you're healing the roots. It's not going to look the same for everybody. People might be thinking, you know what, she's blabbing on there. Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind. Nobody knows until they're walking their path. And you might not ever know, because you might not walk a path anything like mine or anything like the person in this reading. But when you start the journey of healing yourself, and instead of avoiding your pain, don't protect your pain, by the way. Thank you, Spirit. What can you give me? I need a couple more cards and then whoop, and then I gotta go. Yeah, some of you do have a book to write, and life is gonna get real sweet from there. Look, check this out. I said, a book. This is the card of books and buying. Some of you may be buying a book about how to help you on this relationship healing. You may even have a book, but also some of you are writing a book, and it's going to help you prosper, not just financially, but the healing of the collective. Okay? And life is going to get real sweet, but you guys cannot just jump into the next part of your life. You do have the keys. With the keys and the magician here. Magician, keys. This is the keys card. You have the keys. There's a blindfold on him. I don't know if you can see. But he's going into work with, while trusting with the blindfold on, his cosmos, the ether, his spirit team to help him. Okay? And there's a higher being as well behind him. The source is behind you and ahead of you and with you. It's not a time to fear, it's a time to have faith. And I don't mean like in a higher being in that way. I just mean trusting the process, but also willing to do the work. Please allow strangers, complete and total strangers, to help you and feel it without feeling guilty. Don't do what you're doing with guilt, okay? You remember, you're exceptional. Keep this card in your mind, okay? If you need to screenshot it to remind you of how exceptional you are, and that you can feel elated without staying in the negative energy of what your concerns are. Have grace for yourself as you're healing your inner wounds. You're healing the foundation of your family life, your house life, a relationship dynamic, okay? It's going to take patience, persistence, a willingness to admit when you're wrong, a willingness to admit when you are offended, when you feel that it's important to communicate that. But I'm telling you, even in this relationship or another relationship or the relationship with yourself, you're going to have to choose. You're going to have to choose the fight, not just the pleasures. Okay? Have confidence about the decisions you make. And understand that whatever decision you make, Spirit will be supporting you. And keep your confidence. Okay? You are the magician. Okay? You are infinite. You are infinite. You are love. You are grace. And you are bold. And if you are anywhere you don't want to be, because you don't have to be. All right. Love you guys. Thanks for joining. Like and subscribe if you feel led to. Okay. Or you want to hear from me often and have the notifications, hit the notification bell. All right. And in the description is where you can get a reading from me personally. It will not be live if we do it. So, but I'm Natasha, the Encompass Awe. Until next time. Bye.